What's up everyone? Welcome to Coding with Chandler. I am super excited for today's video. Today I am featuring 6 different women in tech who have different experience levels and background. Each of these women bring a very wonderful perspective to the tech industry, and something that is super common is imposter syndrome. We've all experienced it, so we are here to talk about what we went through, what our experiences were, and how we coped with it. And we want to be able to share some tips and advice for anyone who's watching who might be dealing with the same thing. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get started.
Hi, my name is Masha and I'm the founder of CodingBlonde, a blog and a resource for women in tech who want to build their dream careers and dream lives, because I feel like we can all do that now, and tech is allowing us to break the stereotypes and create our own path. My background is in economics and marketing, and I found my way into tech by accident by joining a tech startup, and ended up working for a bunch of tech startups, Google, a university at some point, and now I am full-time on my blog. So a full-time entrepreneur. Fun stuff.
Hi, my name's Linda. I'm a full-stack web application developer in New York, and I have been working in tech for the last 5 years. I was a philosophy major in college, and I thought I was going to go to law school. But I ended up working in news after college, and instead of going to law school, I ended up going to a coding boot camp and switched into tech.
Hi everyone, I'm Chrissy. I work as a delivery lead at a software company here in Detroit. Delivery lead is pretty much a fancy title for someone who wears a lot of hats. I do project management, scrum master, business analyst, all the things pretty much on a day-to-day basis.
Hi, my name is Jessa Chala and I'm a software engineer. Last year, I started a coding boot camp through Grand Circus. It was a front-end after-hours boot camp, and I was able to work full-time while going to class 3 nights a week. In that class, I learned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now I work as a software engineer for a company called Mallowfields here in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Hi, my name is Katrina Turnbow. I am the founder and owner of the digital marketing boutique firm Canopy Social, and it's my honor to be here with you today. I have a cool background in digital marketing media since about 2002. And through that evolution, I've also had the opportunity to yet again witness how the African American community definitely does not, really connect and don't have the same advantages and just, not having the same access. So that is a little bit about my background.
And I'm Chandler. I'm a software developer at Interaction Gaming, and I've been in tech for about over 3 years now. I started my journey at Grand Circus, where I took a coding boot camp, and now I'm pretty much working with full stack development, where I write code both on the back end and the front end and connect the two together. All right, let's talk imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is that feeling of self-doubt and insecurities. It's when you start to feel like you aren't good enough, or you feel like you can't accomplish something because you have this voice telling you that you can't make it.
Imposter syndrome is this overwhelming feeling that you are a fraud and that you're acting and you don't deserve what you have achieved or where you're at. It is a very common phenomenon that actually exists in many careers, but I will say that in technology, I find it to be prevalent, especially because of the nature of technology.
Imposter syndrome is that feeling of doubt that you have, even if you're qualified or overqualified for a position. And I think it's brought on a lot by being in an industry where a lot of people in that industry don't look like you.
So to me, imposter syndrome is this unwarranted feeling of inadequacy. Your brain is pretty much telling you that when you're given an opportunity or someone hires you for a role or anything like that it was by chance and you're actually not supposed to be at that table, you're not supposed to be in that position, etc.
There was a time where I had heavy imposter syndrome, and it's when I first started working as a software engineer. I was working with a team that didn't really give me the resources to be able to grow and catch up with them and get familiarized with the code base. Instead, I was given a pile of documentation, was told to read it, and then was expected to know how to develop a project with another junior dev who had the same experience level that I had. There were times I thought they were going to fire me because I would literally be looking at the code and had no clue what was going on. Even in meetings, it's like they were using terminology that I didn't understand. And when everyone around you understands something that you don't, it makes you feel like an imposter.
I felt like an imposter all of my life. From school, because I was a pretty good student before I left Russia. I was a very good student and got all A's, and I was feeling like a fraud. I felt like somebody will find out that I'm actually not that smart and I'm getting these grades by luck. Then it moved on to work and all that stuff, and of course it culminated when I was at Google, because we have such high expectations of employees at these big tech companies. But when you join Google, you're all of a sudden one of them, and it's like, wait, what, me? Like, I'm a smart one?
I've experienced imposter syndrome throughout my career. One time in particular was when I started my career in coding. I initially walked into my first job as a web developer, and I was very overwhelmed, mostly because I didn't have a computer science degree and everyone around me did. I wasn't like everyone else, and I felt that maybe I didn't belong, I wasn't smart enough, and I had a lot of self-doubt. And I think it was a very challenging time for me because it kind of felt like I was in the unknown. I made this transition and now I'm in this field and I'm probably not supposed to be here.
When I think about imposter syndrome, I think about how I felt in my first job out of boot camp back in 2017. So my first job out of boot camp, I thought I was going to be a junior developer. The people that interviewed me, they gave me the job, but they said that I would be a better project manager. So they offered me a role as a project manager. Now, up until that point, I did not have any experience in project management at all, or so I thought. And I was just so eager to get like my first tech job that I said yes. Obviously, this led to feelings of inadequacy because I'm like, what the heck? This doesn't even make sense. Like I said, I had experience in JavaScript development, and you all are saying that you want me to be a project manager. Like make it make sense. I felt mentally exhausted for the first few months because not only was I dealing with imposter syndrome, I was also dealing with something known as stereotype threat. Which is essentially when someone that's marginalized is the first or one of few people in a position, and you feel like you have to be the perfect example. You need to excel at everything, and if you fail, then it's a failure for other women or other people of color that may try to pursue that role in the future. So mentally drained all around. That's how I felt dealing with imposter syndrome on that first job.
I feel imposter syndrome all the time because of the industries that I've worked in. I would say that where I used to work in government at the Metro Council in Grand Rapids, and it was a place where I didn't really feel like I fit in because it was still kind of a boys' club. It's hard to feel like you can move up in an environment that is still so heavily like male oriented. The feelings of imposter syndrome come within you, but are also valid because the people around you either don't look like examples of yourself moving forward in that industry, or are actively pursuing other people that look like themselves to fill your position or positions around you.
I would say that the time that I started realizing that I really suffer from imposter syndrome is actually when I became a Google Digital Coach. And this role was a role that was created. And the crazy part was that the role was actually designed around me. The person who was the manager and the creator of the position, and as he built out the role in the job description, he told us that myself and someone else were the influences for having this role that right now is influencing the company, which is a pretty big deal. But when I received the position and the appointment, I can remember starting to do the training. And sometimes while I'm talking to people, I'm thinking to myself, are they listening to me? Am I qualified to do this? I know I have the experience, but do they really want to listen to me? And I struggle with that now. As much as I know about the internet, as much as I know about entrepreneurship, I still wonder if people are really listening to me.
My way of trying to handle imposter syndrome at the time was literally just by trying to learn everything. I felt like in order for me to catch up to my team, I need to be taking online classes at home. I was trying to learn multiple things at once and other languages because I had the mindset that the more knowledge, the better. But in all reality, I was overwhelming myself and I was probably learning things that wouldn't have benefited me either. And I wasn't aware of best practices at the time or what I needed to be learning in order to get caught up. Because my biggest fear was not getting something done on time and letting a team member down. But because I worried so much, I ended up super anxious and overwhelmed the majority of the time I was there.
Where I used to work, when I worked in government, I tried to overcompensate by doing more work, going above and beyond. And I wanted to prove myself. And because of that kind of toxic environment that I was in, it never helped. And although it didn't help, it kind of put me on that path of believing myself that I could do all of that work, even though it was not looked at, like nobody saw it as something as good.
And at first, it was basically trying to limit my exposure to those situations and sometimes hiding behind other people. So for example, if we're both working on a project, I would let them speak about it and I would just kind of hide in their shadow. If you think about it, imposter syndrome means that you're outside of your comfort zone. You're not comfortable with public speaking, or you're not comfortable with something yet. There's something about it that is making you grow. And actually, it's a good thing, right? So the moment I understood that, I started exposing myself to more and more opportunities to feel like an imposter, which sounds counterintuitive, but it made me feel okay with feeling like an imposter.
And what I have to do now is oftentimes when I start cycling through some of those negative thoughts, I think about the great things that people have said about me. I remember the why of my work. I have to ask myself, why? Why am I doing this? And focus and tell myself, it doesn't matter who's watching. It's about what you're going to do. It's about the impact that you will have. And you're doing this regardless of who's watching.
Tips for avoiding imposter syndrome. God, I wish I knew these things when I started. One thing that I wish that I knew going into tech is that nobody is actually judging you when you first start. No one is expecting you to be a senior developer in an entry-level position, but that was the mindset I had at the time. And I wish that I knew that going into a new job, there's always going to be that learning curve and some wiggle room for learning. So for tips, tell yourself that you are worrying too much and that most of the time, whatever it is that you are thinking about yourself, someone else isn't thinking about you. Looking back on it, I was literally in my head the whole time and could have had a much better experience. I would also say it's best to recognize where you need to improve. And a great way to do that would be by talking to someone else who's in your profession. Ask for their advice and what they would do.
I always advise people to use the same mentality that I used when it came to imposter syndrome to reverse that perception of it to something that you are seeking out. Because again, like I said, it means that you are growing. It means that you're outside of your comfort zone, and that is wonderful. So try to reframe it in your head that you're growing and own that growth. Tell it to yourself. Next time you feel like an imposter, tell yourself, I am growing. This is why I'm feeling this way. I am not comfortable with something, and that's okay.
I have a few tips on how to deal with imposter syndrome. One tip is that you need to really, in the long run, work on self-love, because if you appreciate your flaws and everything that you are, you will realize that you exert a confidence that helps you kind of fight that imposter syndrome. Because at the end of the day, imposter syndrome can be quite debilitating. It can end up causing you not to negotiate your salary, not to aim for certain roles, and can really stop you. A lot of our achievements are thanks to our subconscious actions. And so to have those subconscious actions and kind of exert that confidence, you have to really either believe in yourself or fake the confidence intentionally. That goes into my second tip of faking your confidence. Sometimes it's hard to always feel confident. I know that when I started out, I did not, and I did fake the confidence. I think when you fake confidence, sometimes that helps people kind of believe in you, and then you end up developing real confidence. Sort of like the analogy when you smile to the world smiles at you. If you fake smile to the world and the world smiles at you, you start really smiling. Obviously that's not the best solution, but definitely a way to deal with something more timely. But I think in the long run, really, it is self-love. And I think practicing that and realizing that all you really need to do is walk in and want to learn every day and not let imposter syndrome be an obstacle for you, because it is absolutely not the case. You're definitely qualified. And it really, so many people have those doubts, whether it be managers or junior developers.
When I start to feel these feelings of self-doubt or inadequacy, I immediately combat that by hyping myself up. Like, I tell myself, like, hey, you can do this. You've done something similar before. You're not an idiot. You know what you're talking about. If you don't know what you're talking about, you know where to find the answers, etc. So I just have to constantly keep telling myself that I know what I'm doing in any situation for the most part. I also like to visualize myself doing well in like situations that I feel uncomfortable in or that might be extra challenging. So I like to picture myself exceeding expectations, doing a knockout job, and learning something new. Like, I try to imagine the most positive outcomes when imposter syndrome rears its ugly little head.
I remind myself that I am worthy, and when you are a person of faith, oftentimes you have to move forward no matter how you feel. And I remind myself my feelings are not important all the time. They come and they go. Understanding and have a plan for the work is what got me here in the first place. Because guess what? I am worthy to be there. I was chosen for this job. I was chosen to be able to lead the city of Detroit and helping to close the digital divide. People call me to make things happen, and guess what? I can. So in understanding my powers and my gifts, no matter what I think, which I can change my thoughts at any moment, I'm capable, I'm able, and I'm worthy, and I'm supposed to be exactly where I'm standing. And I'll continue to say that. I'll continue to say that to hopefully one day completely eradicate myself of imposter syndrome.
I overcame that doubt by valuing myself and changing my job, changing my career into a place where the people that I worked with valued my input, valued my quiet strengths, and valued me as a person for my opinions, for my mind, and my work. I think another way to handle imposter syndrome is to try to connect with your peers, the people who work with you, learn about the environment of your workplace, talk to the other people who might be more similar to you, maybe put yourself out there.
Imposter syndrome is definitely something that I will deal with from time to time, especially when I start something that I'm unfamiliar with or something that's super new. However, I learned a lot from my past experiences, and I learned that being super stressed out and anxious about yourself is much worse than just knowing that there's something that you need to improve on. No one's perfect, and if there's something that you need to improve on or something that you are struggling with, I'm gonna try my best to not let that eat away at me.
Yes, imposter syndrome is something that I deal with on a day-to-day basis still. I mean, I don't have a background in technology and I'm creating content about technology. So a lot of the times I feel like a fraud. And yes, I have a lot of knowledge about it and I have some industry experience and I know so many people and I've interviewed so many people, but still, you know, I feel like a fraud on a day-to-day basis. However, I remind myself of the value that I bring in, the content skills, the marketing background, understanding the social media landscape, and all those things that help me do what I do on a level that I do.
Do I still experience imposter syndrome? Definitely. I think when people talk about imposter syndrome these days, it's mostly in regard to people that are more junior to a role or new to an experience. But it definitely still happens the more that you advance in your career. I don't think you ever get over imposter syndrome. I don't think it's something that, you learn all of these things and then you just always feel confident and never doubt yourself ever again. I think as time goes by and you learn more and you do more, you get more comfortable with not knowing and being uncomfortable, and you become more welcoming to these challenges, and you understand that if you don't know everything, it's not a reflection of you as a person. It's just that this is something new.
Imposter syndrome is something I still deal with today. I will be facing it every single day, though a lot of it has to do with confidence. It also has to do with new people that my company will be interacting with, having a meeting with. I get left out of emails. I get left out of conversations because maybe it's because I'm a woman, maybe it's because I'm the youngest person on my team, but I have to remind myself that I am a owner of my company and I am qualified to be there. I am someone that a new client could come to and talk to about my work, my company's work, and things like that.
One of the most important things I wanted to express is that imposter syndrome can come from literally anyone, no matter the background, the experience level. Everyone's experience may be different, but it's something that a lot of people go through. And we're just here to help you mitigate some of that stress and feel better about it, because it's something that we've gone through. And I wish I knew some of these things when I was going through it, because it would have made me feel a lot less worried. So for those of you who are watching, I hope that this helped. Please give this a share and like. If you know a friend who is feeling this way right now or is going through some imposter syndrome issues, give this video a share. Also, please check out our social media. I'm going to be sure to put that in the description below and list it in the video as well. If you haven't already, turn on my notifications so that you can get notified when my next video is uploaded. Again, thank you ladies for being a part of this video. I'm really happy to be collaborating with all of you, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys in a couple weeks.